United States appears to be working on a strategy to stop any Chinese attempt to overtake Taiwan. The plan is straightforward. If mainland China invades Taiwan, it could face a powerful unmanned force intended to overwhelm its military and buy time. This strategy, known as the Hellscape strategy, was articulated by the senior U.S. Admiral in the Pacific. Admiral Samuel Paparo, the commander of U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, told the Washington Post at the International Institute for Strategic Studies Shangri-La Dialogue Summit, "The idea is that as soon as China's invasion fleet begins moving across the 100-mile waterway, the U.S. military would deploy thousands of unmanned submarines, unmanned surface ships, and aerial drones to flood the area and give Taiwanese, U.S., and partner forces time to mount a full response." In this video, Defense Updates analyzes how the U.S. military will employ the Hellscape strategy to grind down any Chinese attempt to invade Taiwan. Let's get started. Before we proceed, a word on NordVPN, which is one of the most trusted VPN brands worldwide that has a no-log policy validated by Deloitte, an industry-leading Big Four auditing firm. NordVPN provides an encrypted tunnel that protects your privacy by preventing external entry to your internet traffic, as well as enabling you to access content that's blocked based on geolocation. Best of all, with one NordVPN account, you can secure up to 6 devices at the same time. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal with massive savings by going to nordvpn.com/defense or clicking the link in the description. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The comments come days after China launched 2-day military drills following the swearing-in of the new Taiwanese president, whom China believes is a separatist. Beijing has progressively intensified calls for what it calls a reunification of Taiwan with the Chinese mainland and has been signaling that an invasion is inevitable. It's important to note in this context that the relationship between Taiwan and the United States is unofficial and informal and is governed by the Taiwan Relations Act. Taiwan Relations Act is designed to maintain ambiguity and does not state if the USA will or will not intervene militarily if the PRC attacks or invades Taiwan. Under the Act, the U.S. is obligated to sell arms of a defensive character to Taiwan. On his part, U.S. President Joe Biden has hinted that his country would aid Taiwan's military in case of an invasion, a prospect likely to snowball into a bigger U.S.-China conflict involving Washington's regional allies. This makes it imperative for the U.S. military to devise strategies to counter the Chinese forces in the Taiwan Strait. Admiral John Aquilino, former commander of the Indo-Pacific Command, Indo-PACOM, originally coined the term Hellscape in August 2023 at the Emerging Technologies for Defense Conference and Exhibition. The concept conceives a battleground teeming with tens of thousands of unmanned ships, aircraft, and submarines operating together to engage numerous targets across the expansive reaches of the Western Pacific. General Wilsbach had also argued that it would be more appropriate to deploy attritable unmanned aircraft against China rather than high-end stealth fighter jets such as F-35s or F-22s. This concept is fundamentally rooted in the Department of Defense's effort to swiftly acquire and deploy significant numbers of unmanned systems, drawing important insights from the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, which has transformed warfare involving unmanned technology. Building on these insights, Deputy Defense Secretary Kathleen Hicks introduced the department's Replicator initiative during the same conference in 2023. Hellscape and Replicator are closely related. The Pentagon has allocated $1 billion for the Replicator program this fiscal year. This initiative aims to swiftly expand capabilities amidst strategic competition with the People's Republic of China. Its initial objective is to rapidly scale up and deploy thousands of attritable autonomous systems within the next 18 to 24 months, utilizing artificial intelligence, robotics, and commercial technology. The attritable system will be cheap and could be built in bulk swiftly. Pentagon is partnering with several defense companies to co-develop and acquire these systems, with specific emphasis on drones crucial to the program's initial phase. In response to China's biggest advantage, which is its mass, Hicks stated last summer that Replicator was designed to incorporate more ships and more missiles and more people. She said, "We'll counter the People's Liberation Army's mass with a mass of our own, but ours will be harder to plan for, harder to hit, harder to beat." The Pentagon is pressing for the quick development of low-cost, disposable aerial and underwater drones, including those capable of swarming, which can neutralize the numerical superiority the Chinese military enjoys in the Indo-Pacific region. According to remarks made last year by Admiral Samuel Paparo, the outgoing commander of Indo-PACOM, United States Indo-Pacific Command, U.S. unmanned capabilities will be an asymmetric advantage. For example, attritable systems could exhaust China's formidable anti-access area denial A2AD systems, rendering them vulnerable to counterstrikes. Ukraine has used aerial drones to launch strikes inside Russia and destroyed high-value assets like control and command centers, airfields, and aircraft, to name a few. The war in Ukraine has shown that air defenses are not impenetrable, and drones can cause massive damage without being detected. It's clear that nothing is safe in this day and age, from a loitering munition or a first-person view (FPV) drone attack. Naval drones like Magura V-5 also inflicted heavy damage on Russian warships on more than one occasion. General Paparo's inputs on the Hellscape strategy are more significant now, since he warned that the recent Chinese drills appeared to be a rehearsal for an invasion of Taiwan. He said, "We watched it, we took note, we learned from it, and they helped us prepare for the future." China has indirectly reacted to this. The state-owned Global Times, which is basically a media arm of the Chinese Communist Party, took to X to iterate, "The U.S. now recognizes that conventional combat methods can no longer defeat the PLA in the Taiwan Straits. So in a desperate attempt to cling to their illusion of invincibility, they've decided to try something completely out of left field. The Hellscape strategy aims to incite secessionist forces and DPP authorities to pursue Taiwan independence further."
Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.